It's been an incredible experience to be able to work on this exhibition. As a conservator, you get a really intimate knowledge of the objects. Any conservation treatment starts by looking, and I look at the construction, I look at the fabrics, I understand the textile before I can do anything to it. So I'm in a really unique position of being very close to the objects throughout my work on them. So my work can really range from simply removing a bit of dust off the surface all the way to full conservation treatments. And this wedding dress is an example of when I've had to undertake a full conservation treatment on an item. So when things come into my care, they're in a variety of condition. A lot of these were in remarkably good condition considering their age and considering the fact that the Queen wore them several times. We have lists of her wearing the same dress 30 times. So it was very well kept in its lifetime. We now have excellent storage facilities so it can be further kept in good condition. So my first thing is to assess the needs and think about whether there's any areas of weakness that might need supporting. As a conservator, I never replace anything. I never try to lie about what's original material. So my aim is always to support and stabilise the original material. As a conservator, I'm able to look inside the objects, have them inside out, look at the seams, look at all of it. I can touch it. I can touch things and feel how soft they are. Some of these fabrics are beautiful. They're the finest quality, and that's a whole other sensory level of being able to touch as well. And there's the smell as well. Sometimes we smell her powder and perfume, and that's such a beautiful experience. So being able to work so closely with these items that were hers and still embody her has been wonderful. I don't know what the perfume is, but it was just this sort of powdery, it's just this lovely warm floral smell, as you'd expect really. So the majority of things didn't need a huge amount of conservation treatment. There are a few sort of where the silk has broken down. Silk does break down over time, it's just what it does. But there were sort of 3 treatments that were the biggest projects. One is this wedding dress, one was the christening gown, and then the coronation dress as well. So actually 3 really key pieces needed quite a lot of work and deserved the work as well.
And
So to keep things stable, we think about the environment in the main. Too much humidity, too much light can massively affect these textiles. They are organic materials, they respond to the environment. There's also sort of pest management things, although these, again, have been in such good condition that we haven't had to deal with much of that. Also thinking about whether things need to be stored flat, whether they need to be in boxes, whether they need to be in drawers. So our storage facility has these huge plan chest drawers for some of the more fragile things to sit in. Or some things can be hung as well, which is often quite good because then they don't get creased and squashed in storage. From a conservation point of view, the archive is remarkable because of the breadth of the material. There's over 4,000 pieces, and it's her whole lifetime condensed into 4,000 pieces. And it ranges from very early childhood pieces. We have her baby dresses, her baby shoes, which are just so personal. We have the fancy dress items that Margaret then wore, so there's the family element. And then we go through to her reign and when she was queen and how we see her and her role. And so as a conservator, to be able to be so intimately connected to those pieces really makes you feel a connection with the Queen herself.
What's your personal?
My personal favourite is the fairy outfit. It's a little yellow dress made of tulle with little gold wings on the back, and it's just so cute. It's so unbelievably cute, but you can see it being worn today. And she wore it when she was 3 or 4 years old. Her mum bought it from Smith & Co. And then her sister wore it as well. So again, it's just that family hand-me-down. But it also just shows her as a person. It's the human side of it, that she was a little girl and she was adorable and tiny. And then she grew into this remarkable woman that we remember so fondly.
So we're here in the King's Gallery at Buckingham Palace to see this exhibition, Queen Elizabeth II, Her Life and Style, which explores in unprecedented detail for the first time the Queen's fashion archive, drawing together extraordinary pieces of fashion, but also accessories, jewellery, and the ephemeral material around this collection, which includes fashion sketches, correspondence, fabric swatches, and everything that went into the production of the Queen's clothing. So I think, yes, this exhibition marks this very auspicious anniversary, the centenary of Queen Elizabeth II's birth. And I think what visitors really, I hope, will take away is a much deeper understanding of her relationship with British fashion, the role she played supporting British design, even from a young age in the 1940s, when couture was in its fledgling state here in London and trying to compete with Parisian couture, which of course ultimately it did. And her support of that was so important. And of course then working with different designers and couturiers over multiple decades and wearing British fashion on the global stage and understanding how the Queen used fashion as a diplomatic tool. So those are just a few of the takeaways, but obviously there's a great deal here to see. The Queen used diplomacy in her dress and almost made it into an art form, something that was very much a hallmark of her use of fashion and her sense of style. And that could be anything from colour, so for example wearing yellow when she was in Australia, the colour of acacia or wattle as it's more commonly known, the national flower, and could become even more intricate, for example with embellishment, embroideries, replicating national emblems and motifs. So for example there's a very striking blue and white dress worn in Canada in 1967 to commemorate the Confederation, the centenary of the Confederation of Canada, which is embroidered with maple leaves. And I think clothing enabled the Queen to convey messages which were instantly recognised by all of those around her, particularly on overseas tours, without needing to speak, although of course she did make lots of speeches, but it was something that connected her to the people around her on those travels.